Well, to debate all of these claims is Alan Dershowitz, author of The Preventive State and Jeffrey Epstein's former lawyer, and comedian and activist Bassem Youssef. Well, welcome to both of you. Alan Dershowitz, I know you said emphatically you do not believe Jeffrey Epstein was a spy, but as more and more stuff appears in these document dumps from the files, there is more and more stuff linking him to Israel, to Ehud Barak, to all sorts of stuff. Are you still as certain?
More so. Look at the chronology. As far as I know, he doesn't meet Ehud Barak until after he pleads guilty. And if he had been a spy before he pleaded guilty, the first person he would have told that was me. I was trying to get him the best possible deal. And I asked him over and over again, what can you tell me that will get you a better deal? Do you have anything on Trump? Do you have anything on Clinton? Do you have anything about intelligence? He would have told me. Instead, in 1999, 1998, I was in Israel doing research for a book, and he called me from Paris saying, I want to come to Israel. I've never met any Israelis. I don't know anybody there. Could you arrange a lunch for me with Israel's 5 smartest people? And so I did. I got the Justice of the Supreme Court, the Attorney General, interesting people that I thought he would meet. And we had lunch, and then he and I took a walk in the Shuk, and I bought him a T-shirt which said, I'm a member of the IDF, kind of khaki T-shirt, and he loved it. He wore it. There's no possibility that he was working for intelligence at the time I was representing him. Now we have a chronological issue. He meets Ehud Barak, but that's later. Did Mossad hire him after he was convicted? Well, maybe. Your previous guest talked about planes involving Victoria's Secret. Well, Wexner didn't buy Victoria's Secret until well after the early time. So one has to look at the dates. One has to look at the chronology. I hate to pour water on a fascinating conspiracy theory. It's so much fun to talk about. But from what I know, I just don't see any evidence that he ever worked for the Mossad. And if he did, why wouldn't he have told me? I actually was a lawyer. I represented the Mossad back in the 90s when 3 Mossad agents were caught in Cyprus, and Cyprus thought they were working for Turkey. In fact, they weren't, and I helped to get them out. I have a very good relationship with the current head of the Mossad, the former head of the Mossad. Obviously, I've asked them that question, and there's no evidence at all.
Alan, I would say this.
Alan,
I would say this to you. If I was to ask you about all the despicable crimes that Epstein was committing, right, you would say, because I think you said it publicly, you didn't know about any of that, right? So, could it be that Jeffrey Epstein just had a completely different life that he just did not tell you about, and that included despicable human sex trafficking, and it may also have included being a spy? I mean, clearly, if he wasn't telling you about all the sex trafficking, which was a huge amount of his life, then why is it surprising if he kept the rest of it from you?
Well, it's very surprising because telling me about his sex life didn't help him. Telling me that he worked for the Mossad would have given him a get out of jail free card. Remember, Jeffrey Epstein hated me before he died. He wrote all kinds of letters to Woody Allen as to what a terrible lawyer I was. He wouldn't pay me my fee. He fired me because he thought I had gotten him a terrible deal, that famous sweetheart deal. He ended up 18 months in prison. He was outraged. He didn't want to spend a minute in prison. I could have gotten him no jail time. If he had told me he worked for the Mossad, for the CIA, he was an intelligence source, it would have been a slam dunk for me to go to whoever I had to go to, even up to the President of the United States, and I would have gotten him a deal with no time at all. Epstein was a selfish SOB. He would do anything to avoid prison time. Why wouldn't he have told me that he worked for the Mossad if he worked for the Mossad? So, yeah, of course he's not going to tell me when I knew him as an academic acquaintance, he's not going to tell me he's having sex with young children. He hid that from everybody. He did have a separate life, a completely separate life. But once I was his lawyer, it was in his interest to tell me things that would benefit him. And I can't imagine anything benefiting him more than having worked for an intelligence agency, but I pressed him
I mean,
on
some
that,
people might
and
be.
he didn't.
I'll come to Bassem in a moment, but some people will be listening to this going, hang on a second, you mean if he'd said he was working with the Mossad or CIA, then he would get off being a paedophile? In other words, you can commit crimes of paedophilia
he wasn't accused of
underage
being
children,
No,
and you would simply not go to prison for it.
That's right. Let's be clear. He was charged with 2 counts. One, a 17-year and 10-month-old woman who he paid for prostitution. The other, a woman in her 20s who was a prostitute who he paid. Those were the only 2 things he pleaded guilty to. The only 2 things he's ever been convicted. He was never convicted of pedophilia. He was never convicted of trafficking. None of that. He may have done all of those things. But when I was representing him, all he was being charged with was these 2 counts of paying prostitutes, one who was 17 years old and 10 months. I could have gotten him no jail time for that if he had been a member of the Mossad. Any good lawyer could have parlayed his membership and his contribution to intelligence into a deal. Or, for example, if he had anything on Donald Trump or anything on Bill Clinton, of course any prosecutor would exchange this nobody, who nobody had ever heard of at the time, getting free from prison for, my God, the president, former president, future president. No, the best evidence is that he never, ever tried to tell me anything that would help him, that would support any of these theories about Clinton or Trump or the Mossad. So I am completely confident that he was not an intelligence asset. I wish, your previous guest is right. He would have been a perfect intelligence asset if I were the head of the Mossad. I would say, oh, my God, now that I know who he knew, Bill Gates, everybody, the Sultan of this, the Sultan of that, sure, we try to recruit him. But they didn't know that at the time because he didn't have many of those friends back in the 1980s and 1990s. Many of them became his friends, ironically, after he got out of prison.
Okay, Bassem Youssef, you've been waiting patiently. Welcome back to Uncensored. What is your response to Alan Dershowitz?
Well, I think that what Mr. Alan Dershowitz just said is the best recruitment video for Mossad. Basically, they're telling people, if you're Mossad, you can get away with anything. The same thing that what happened with Tom Alexandrovich, the cybersecurity guy from Netanyahu's government who was arrested in Nevada for trying to lure a minor in an FBI stint operation, and he got off the hook. He traveled. He didn't even have to attend his trial. He did Zoom from Israel. And like Ori Solomon, just a couple of days ago, there was a biolab in Nevada that nobody is actually talking about. Actually, as a matter of fact, the mainstream media, they reported it, but they never mentioned his nationality as an Israeli who was running a biolab in Nevada that includes deadly viruses. If that was a Muslim, it would be like all over the news. So basically, Mr. Dershowitz is telling us, if you're Mossad, you have like an out of jail card. And you know what? Maybe he's right.
Or a CIA, or a CIA agent. That's true.
Mr. Alan, Mr. Dershowitz, I did not interrupt you a single second when you talked. So
I just wanted to
after
correct
you're
you.
done with the gaslighting, please let me finish. First of all, I think I'm now kind of leaning towards believing mainstream media, especially CBS and CNN under Barry Weiss and Larry Ellison. The evidence is there that he is actually a Russian asset. His girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, was the daughter of a Mossad super spy. He was represented by you, Mr. Dershowitz, Israel's favorite lawyer, who you're also a lawyer to the Mossad, which, of course, everything you tell us will be true. Ehud Barak was at his place the whole time. He fled to Israel when he was charged with sex crimes. And he was pictured wearing an IDF shirt. He was funded by pro-Israel fanatics. He worked for the Rothschild. He donated to pro-Israel student groups. He was responsible for the Wagner's group's pro-Israel philanthropy. He supported Israel settlement projects. His friends were all Zionists. He referred to us as Goyim. He was involved in Israel diplomacy effort. He brokered security deals with Israel. And even a former Israeli intelligence officer, Ari Ben Menashe, like Mr. Ryan Grimm said, he said he ran a honeypot for Israel. So yes, of course, he was definitely a Russian spy. Makes sense. You know what? I'm by the way, Mr. Allen,
you're a good comedian. You're a good comedian. This is very funny.
I'm actually a huge fan of yours because I have known you since the 2000s. I mean, actually, you're one of the very few lawyers who are actually known in the Middle East. It's like watching a real-life courtroom drama lawyer. There's even T-shirts with your face in it in Egypt. And I've followed you for a while. And that's why I'm here today. When they told me Mr. Dershowitz is here, I was like, I have to be here just for the gaslighting, because the level of gaslighting isn't new. For more than 2.5 years, Mr. Dershowitz and his client, Israel, have gaslighted us in front of our eyes for 2.5 years with all of the destructions and the killing that we've seen in Gaza. But they, according to them, it's not a genocide, it's self-defense. He told us that every dead child is
not a genocide.
That the
it's
International
a blood
Court
libel
of
to
Justice,
call
I
it
did
a
not
genocide.
interrupt you, sir. That the International Court of Justice is a fake
you
court,
can't
and
lie
Israel
and
critics
just
and anti-Semitic.
expect
Now,
silence.
Mr. Dershowitz, please, I did not interrupt you. Don't interrupt me. I know that you're a lawyer and you do that. Objection,
I'm
Your
going to
Honor.
interrupt
Don't
you if
interrupt
you
me.
use the word
now, the
genocide.
Epstein files
Sorry.
are public. People can read them. People can see the horrible stuff that you, again, are gaslighting us. In your own work, you said that he's not a pedophile because he liked 15 and 16 years old, but not 11 and 12 years old.
No, I said 17 and 10 months.
People can read,
17 and 10
you
months.
can read the ages of the kids in the emails. They can read about the pizza, the ice cream, the
He
beef
wasn't
jerky.
convicted.
And you can see the connection with Israel. And yet, here you are again, gaslighting us. This is your playbook, attacking the victims.
It's called
the Palestinians,
truth.
Hamas,
It's
terrorists.
called truth.
Epstein victims, liars, prostitutes, drama students, and of course,
Well, you say Hamas are not
anti-Semitic.
terrorists?
You have a history
Well, you say Hamas
of
are
hiring
not
investigators to dig through teenage girls at MySpace pages looking for marijuana
That's what
photos.
lawyers
You
do.
called a 16-year-old girl a thief in the Daily Mail. You got Epstein 13 months in county jail with work release for abusing 34 victims where he should have got life in prison.
Two.
That's not a plea bargain. That's a spa package.
Just
And
lying.
every single
You're
time,
just
your
lying.
defense is the
I
same.
challenge
She's
you
lying,
to defend.
she wants money.
I challenge you to
Like,
defend
don't
your
believe what you
statement
read.
that
You
he got
represented
18
Stop
months.
interrupting me, Mr. Dershowitz.
You're
You
just
represented
lying.
a Syrian
You're just
child
lying.
predator and got him the deal of the century. 2 women accused you under oath. You settled for nearly $1 million. Innocent men don't pay. They go to trial.
That's
You
another
know who
lie,
pays?
not a penny.
Guilty
You're
men
you're
with good
lying.
lawyers.
You're
Oh, wait,
defaming
you
me.
are the good
You are
lawyers.
now
So what
going.
does that
You are
make
now
you?
going
You
to
have
be
spent 50
sued.
years
You are
defending
now going to
rapists,
be sued
killers, and
for
every
saying I
time
paid
you
$1
attack
million.
the woman who come forward.
You're going to be
You are a
sued,
civil
and
libertarian.
I would.
You're not.
Pierce,
You're
I
not
would
a civil
recommend
libertarian.
you
are
cutting him
defending
off
the innocent.
when he
You're not defending
says
them.
that I
You
paid
are
$1
a
million.
professional gaslighter.
I didn't
Okay,
pay
Bassem,
one
Bassem,
penny. That's
Attack
a
what they
lie.
do and trust you instead.
Bassem, you've
Sir,
spoken for a long time.
Like Piers, I
Okay,
did not
Bassem, you've made
interrupt
it.
Mr. Alan
Bassem,
Dershowitz
you've spoken.